Anya loved history, but not the kind found in textbooks. Dates and battles bored her. She preferred whispers of the past, hidden in forgotten corners. Old letters, diaries, faded photographs. These were her treasures. Each object held a story, a life lived. Anya felt a connection to these forgotten souls. Their joys and sorrows became real. She felt their love, their loss, their longing. Sundays were for exploration. Anya would often lose herself in Delhi's bustling flea markets. Surrounded by the scent of old paper and spices, she felt most alive. Each stall was a portal to another time. Anya sifted through dusty trinkets and forgotten relics, her heart hoping for a new story to uncover. One Sunday, her fingers brushed against a worn leather pouch. It was tucked away, almost hidden, beneath a pile of old books. Intrigued, Anya bought the pouch. It felt heavy with untold tales. At home, she carefully opened it. Inside lay a letter, yellowed with time. The date read August 10th, 1947, just days before India's independence. Anya's pulse quickened. This was more than just a letter. This was a voice from a pivotal moment in history, a personal story waiting to be heard. The flea market buzzed with life. Vendors called out, their voices a mix of languages and laughter. The air hung heavy with the scent of street food and dust. Anya navigated the crowded aisles, her senses alert. She loved the vibrant chaos of it all. Her eyes scanned the stalls, searching for anything that spoke of forgotten stories. An old gramophone, a chipped china doll, a stack of postcards. Each object held the potential for a journey into the past. It was near a stall filled with dusty books that she found it. A small leather pouch, tucked away as if hidden from prying eyes. The leather was cracked with age, the clasp rusted shut. Anya picked it up, her fingers tracing the faded embroidery. It depicted a single crimson rose, its petals unfurling. The pouch emanated a faint, sweet fragrance, like dried rose petals pressed between the pages of a book. A wave of curiosity washed over her. She had to know what it held. The vendor, an old man with kind eyes, smiled knowingly. A love story, perhaps, he said, his voice raspy with age. Or maybe a forgotten dream. Each piece in my stall has a tale to tell, if you're willing to listen. Anya purchased the pouch, her heart pounding with anticipation. What secrets did it hold? The letter was signed simply, Amar. It was addressed to Meera in Lahore. Anya read each word slowly, her heart aching with a stranger's pain. Amar wrote of his love for Meera, a love that transcended borders and religions. He described the chaos engulfing their world as independence neared, the growing fear and uncertainty. He spoke of his impending departure for Delhi, a journey he had to make for his family's safety. Amar's words dripped with longing. He begged Meera to wait for him, to keep their love alive in her heart. Our love is a bridge, he wrote, and even if the world tries to tear it down, we will rebuild it, brick by brick, with our hearts. Anya could almost hear Amar's voice, filled with a desperate hope. The hope that Meera would receive his letter, that their love would survive the storms brewing around them. But the letter had never reached its destination. It remained in the pouch, a silent testament to a love story interrupted. Anya felt a pang of sadness. What had become of Amar and Meera? Did they ever find each other amidst the chaos of partition? Or did their love story become another casualty of history? Anya was determined to find out. Amar and Meera's story, once lost, was now entrusted to her. She wouldn't let them be forgotten. Section 4. Threads of a Life Unlived. Anya spent weeks poring over historical records. She visited libraries and archives, her fingers tracing faded maps of a divided Punjab. She searched online databases, hoping for any mention of Amar and Meera. She learned about the horrors of partition, the mass migrations, the violence that tore families apart. The more Anya discovered, the more determined she became to find out what happened to them. Had they survived the riots? Had fate been kind, allowing them to reunite? Her search led her to an online forum dedicated to reuniting families separated during partition. She posted a message, sharing the story of Amar and Meera, hoping someone might have a piece of the puzzle. Days turned into weeks, but Anya refused to give up. Then one morning, she received a message. A woman from Amritsar, claiming to be a distant relative of Mira, had seen her post. The woman, Mirabai, had heard stories of a love letter, never delivered. A love story tragically cut short. Aanya felt a surge of hope. Could this Mirabai be the key to unlocking the past? She arranged to meet her in Amritsar, her heart pounding with a mix of anticipation and trepidation. Section 5. A reunion forged in ink. Amritsar welcomed Aanya with open arms. The golden temple, bathed in the golden light of dawn, filled her with a sense of peace. She met Mirabai, a woman in her late 80s, her eyes reflecting a lifetime of untold stories. As Aanya shared the contents of Amar's letter, Mirabai listened intently, her wrinkled hand clutching a faded photograph. Tears welled up in her eyes. "This is my Amar," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. "He wrote those words for me." Mirabai had waited for Amar, clinging to the hope that he would return. Years turned into decades, and the pain of his absence never faded. Aanya watched as Mirabai finally read the letter meant for her fingers gently tracing Amar's words. It was a bittersweet moment, filled with the pain of separation and the sweetness of a love that endured. Aanya had brought closure to a love story lost in the tides of history. In reuniting Mirabai with Amar's words, she found a sense of peace, knowing that even in their absence, love could still bridge the gaps of time and loss.